A number of people have asked about the bumper music that I've been using in some of these videos, so today I thought I'd give a quick lesson, show you what it is and how I play it. Check it out. A cool groove always starts with the riff. And what is a riff? Essentially, it's a melody. I wanted something that was really dark and heavy, sounded twisted, and for my money, the most powerful, anthemic, and twisted melody is Gustav Holst, The Planets. Some metal bands have kind of ripped this off, but basically this guy, Gustav Holst, wrote a symphony. It was composed in 1916, so over 100 years ago, and one of the movements in the symphony is called Mars, the Bringer of War. Let's go back and check that out first, and then I'll show you how I kind of adapted that idea to create the bumper music. At about 4 minutes into the piece, he hits that triplet-based ostinato rhythmic pattern, goes over and over. Now it's actually in 5/4 time, and it's in the key of G. I'll play along with it and count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, The first thing I did is I changed the key. I want to play it in B because I want to use the low B, the open fifth string on the bass guitar, as my tonal center, so it sounds nice and deep and heavy and, you know, in metal. And so I'm playing sixth string though, not a seventh string, and I don't have that low B on a sixth string. I'm in standard tuning, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a B5 over F sharp. It's a second inversion chord, a power chord with the fifth and the bass, like this. That way, instead of just a B5 sounding like that, it's a little bit more dissonant, it's a little messier, but when that bass guitar pegs the low B root underneath it, sounds like a super fat big chord. I also put it in 4/4 time, make it a little more palatable, understandable to people. So instead of, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, change 4, 5, and then change again, it simplifies. Now I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. I'm doing the same melodic motion as the original, which was root, and then 5, flat 5. I'm going to hit low B, and then I'm going to go to the 5 chord F sharp with its fifth, and then the tritone is F. Of course, I'm playing power chords on everything because why not? Sounds better. The other change I made to the melody is at the end of the line, instead of flat 2, C, I'm going to play a D. Second inversion with the fifth and the bass. So it'll move from D, there, back. Now, originally, he used the flat 2 on the way back, which is going to sound darker even still, but flat 2 along with flat 5 have really become metal cliches, frankly. Sometimes we think metal invented the tritone motion and that flat 2 leaning. So I felt like it was a little bit too much of a cliche to stick with the flat 2. D to B is a pentatonic minor move, so it kind of sounds a little more like old school metal. And so by infusing that into the metal sound here, it felt a little bit less cliche actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. Now all that stuff is relatively easy to play. The tricky part is the 6/8 or the 12/8 time triplets that happen later. That thing. So I'm palm muting, I'm playing the B5 over F sharp, second inversion power chord, and I want to swipe across all the strings pretty quick so that whether it's a down or an upstroke, it sounds pretty consistent. So you don't want to dig in too much. If you hit the pick and you dig in a little too much, it might catch on the strings. We need a very consistent hit down and upstroke so that they sound more similar to each other. Now, another thing is the particular rhythm. You start with a downstroke, and then there's a triplet into the next downbeat. It's bump, ba-da-da-dun, ba-da-da-dun. And that ba-da-da, that's the triplet, so it's 1, triplet 2, triplet 3. Now you could pick down, down, up, down for the triplet, which would put an upstroke on your next downbeat, which would be fine, but now you've got to realize you're going to be feeling upstrokes on downbeats, and if that's a little weird, you'd have to practice it a bit. And what ends up happening is, if you do it that way, it ends up turning everything around and putting upstrokes on all your downbeats. I actually prefer to do it this way. This way, I'm going to attack the first note of that triplet with an upstroke, up, down, up, which puts a downstroke on my pulse. I like that better because it just kind of locks a little bit better. I mean, you can get good at whatever you do, but typically I feel like downstrokes have a little bit more power in the rhythm, and it makes the rhythm feel a little tighter. Now I'm going to play that rhythm track along with the bass and drums. Of course, in the final version, I double-tracked the rhythm, hard left and right, so I have a nice wide stereo field. Here I'm just going to play the one guitar over the bass and drums. So that's it for the rhythm section. Next comes the lead, but that's in another video. For that one, you have to join me on Patreon at the Face Melter tier. There, I'll cover the whole solo, practice tips, music theory, the musical structures, what's going on and why. Again, that's on my Patreon page, tier 6, the Face Melter. Be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. I'll see you in the next video.